I'm delighted to be joined on the Alternative Show today by Giselle Martinez. She's here to chat about her music and play us some songs. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you, in rainy Devon.
Beautiful.
Yeah. To start off with, can you tell us where you're from and where you're currently based?
I am from and currently based in Wichita, Kansas.
How did your journey into the musical world all start?
I want to say right after I graduated high school in 2018. I always knew I always wanted to make music from a really young age, but it wasn't until after I graduated that I really started to pursue it head on. And my first project being with Cyril from Station Echo and Blah Blah End, we worked on the single called A Good Night. Like I said, it was my first project, and it was such a joy to work on. And then when we were done with that, it didn't get released until actually a couple years later after we worked on it. So I had in between time to figure out my own solo projects and get the hang of recording and whatnot, because all throughout high school was when I taught myself how to play various instruments like guitar, bass, drums, and keys, and of course singing. And so I was like, cool. And I was establishing myself and getting my name out there as an artist by the time our single came to be. So.
Okay, it's interesting. You can learn how to play an instrument, but how do you discover you've got a voice? How did that work?
I like to sing along to music ever since I was little, and I was in choir all throughout elementary, middle, not so much in high school, but in choir, people were like, you have a voice, and I was like, okay. And so I kind of ran with that. I was like, I hope I do, and people say it sounds pretty good, so I try. I have a lot of things I want to say when it comes to making music, and so I feel like I can get by with the voice I have.
How would you describe your sound?
Besides saying all over the place. And that's only because I love all kinds of music, and I like to try to make as, many different sounds as possible. But if I were to describe my sound, I would probably say new wave meets electric punk.
You might have discovered a new genre there.
Oh, nice.
Okay, excellent. You've recently released a 5-track EP called Bordello. Why did you choose to call it that?
I use that as a metaphor for one of the many outlooks I have on, the world and society as a whole, because it's easy to look at the world and be like, this place is really crummy, and vice versa. You can look out at the world and say, we're living in such a beautiful place. But Bordello is, for the instance of this EP, it's me looking at the world in more of a negative light. And just highlighting the parallels between a said bordello and everyday life, hidden mistreatment and abuse, and the relationships we have between give and take, and the rich versus the poor, and etc. But it's just my own metaphor on how I can see society as a whole.
The cover picture for Bordello is a very striking image. How did that come about?
The image for Bordello, actually, I didn't go out and it wasn't intended to be the album cover. My good friend Russ, he made me a harness because he does leather works, and the harness that I'm seen wearing in the image, I just went out and about and was taking pics because I wanted to, be like, look at my new harness. But then when I was done taking the pics and I went through them and I came across that image, I was like, huh. To me, it felt more than just hey, look at this new harness I have. It was dark, and the pose I was striking was as if on a cross type of attitude mixed with almost looking like I'm like a puppet, and it looked really eerie. And after these 5 songs came about and I was trying to figure out an image for the EP, I came back across that and I was like, I think that fits the atmosphere and the feel of the EP very well.
What's your songwriting process?
It's different every time, I feel. Sometimes lyrics pop into my head, or I'll write things based off of personal experiences or dreams, or if I want to tell a story through a song. I'm always writing, I feel, and so I think that's how songs come about, is because anywhere, everywhere, all the time, just if I have pen and paper, lyrics and things just constantly pop in my head, or melodies. And then, say I write a poem, for example, first start off with a poem, and then I'll structure it as a song, and then go from there to start recording with it. But yeah, it's pretty unconventional how my songwriting process comes about.
It's interesting you said pen and paper. Do you really mean pen and paper, or do you mean tap it into your phone on a note?
No, I really do. I prefer pen and paper than typing on my phone, because it's just when you're in that position of, moving your thumbs, it's not the same as like hurrying up and writing it out and getting your point across. So,
do your songs have any consistent lyrical themes?
It's usually the darker things in life, whether like I feel like death is a constant lyrical theme, like how one copes with it, experiences it, or goes about experiencing death, or covering topics of depression or, suicidal thoughts or something. It's usually darker things. I've tried to start off writing happy songs, but it's really difficult. And I've been told just write what you know, and I have, I don't know, I find more comfort in darker things, and I feel like it's more relatable to more people out there, and because it's not necessarily what a lot of people like to talk about. Just because you don't like to talk about it, or, if it makes you uncomfortable, it doesn't mean it's not there necessarily. So I do like to cover darker topics, through my lyrics.
You've got 3 songs to play for us. What's your first song choice, and why have you chosen it?
Yes, the first song that I picked is Lilith, and it is the 4th track off of my new EP, Bordello. And I chose that song because the name Lilith, it's taken after, like the biblical sense of Lilith, the first woman in the Garden of Eden, the first woman scorned in history. It's actually my own way of kind of like taking a jab at, the oppression and mistreatment of women throughout history. And I really like this song because, like, structure-wise too, I really like the sound of it. And there's also multiple hidden, like, jabs, like I said, of, exposing the mistreatment of women throughout history. Like, I make a reference to the lobotomy of Rosemary Kennedy, who was JF Kennedy's sister. And that's a really hidden thing. And it's, through making music and writing, I like to expose things that are usually, hidden. So it's just, it's an aggressive song with dark feminism that I really enjoy.
See, she's backed in the corner again, and you've done your holy words and your cross on her skin. Do you think she'll ever pull through? Do you think she'll ever pull through? Can you feel it? I always hear it. Father, can you hear me? I don't think she's breathing. Cut out her tongue and feed her mind to your fools. Father, can you hear me? I don't think she's breathing. Cut out her tongue and feed her mind to your fools. The devil's always around. Now the water you pour is burning her skin, and you've gathered your friends to pray with closed minds again. Do you think she'll ever pull through? Do you think she even wants to? Don't mind her body, only take what's inside. 'Cause when she opened her mind, a lobotomy sufficed. A lobotomy sufficed. Can you feel it? I always hear it. Get your hands off our daughters. Don't take the minds of our sons. Get your hands off our daughters. Don't take the minds of our sons. Is righteous, but all you have is blindness. Is blindness. Father, can you hear me? I she's breathing. Cut out her tongue and feed her mind to your phone.
You've crafted a unique style and sound for yourself. What DAW and plugins and instruments do you use?
Nothing too impressive, really. I use just GarageBand to record. I have a M Audio interface. And as far as instruments, I have an ESP EC50 guitar, an Ibanez and crate bass, and an electronic Roland drum set, and a Casio, like a really little cheap Casio I got at a garage sale that works and makes nice tunes. So.
Which recording studio do you currently use, and why do you use it?
I use just my home studio because it's convenient and it's all I know. I have my setup is literally in my room, and I like the idea just how unconventional, as I mentioned before, my music making process is. I could just be, in my room and I have an idea for a song and I can just instantly go over and start, creating something.
What approach do you use when recording?
I usually always start with a drum track first, either that or just the metronome, just to keep beat. And then if I have something, I usually do that when I have something already written and I just want to start singing. I instantly go in with the drum track and then start laying my vocals over it. I also do that even if I don't have vocals. I just like to have a good, just a simple, solid beat and then start singing. And then after that, I add other instruments.
How did you get that unique sound on Nerve Damage?
Nerve Damage. When I first come up with drum beats, sometimes I make them, through the software, or I'll be playing that Roland drum set. And there's industrial settings on it, kind of Depeche Mode-esque, hitting tin cans type of things. And
yeah.
So I mess around with that, and I was like, okay, I really like that. So it was honestly just messing around on, industrial settings, and then I recorded that and then added the early first breakdown in the song. It gives you that dream sequence vibe to it. That was just with different synths on the software.
How did you get the effect on your vocals?
It was a guitar setting. It was distorted and lots of echo type of guitar setting. So instead of hooking up my guitar to it, I just plugged in the mic to a guitar setting. I make what sounds good to me, okay, and then that's that.
What's your second song choice for us, and why have you chosen it?
The second song is Anegapessis, and that was from my last album titled Be This Alive. And this was, I think, the first song that I really felt like I was onto something as far as making music. Because prior to that, I did the project with Cyril, and then I was mainly figuring out how to create music, and Anegapessis was, I think, my first strong song that came about, both lyrically and instrumentally. And it's been received well, and I really enjoy it. And as far as lyrically, I like the meaning behind it, because the word Anegapessis means to lose feeling for someone that you once, loved. It means to fall out of love with someone. And that was an experience I felt before, and it was pretty therapeutic to write about. So.
Wanna be happy, I wanna be free. Wanna be in love and not feel guilty. Wanna be happy, I wanna be free. Wanna be in love and feel there's something. Tell me, what color do you see? Is it yellow or is it blue? I've been biting my nails way too short now. Feel the skin painting me too. It was these details that kept us together, same details that broke out forever. And now I'm sorry for this life I've been living, as if I was ever living. And now I'm sorry for this life I've been living, as if I was ever living. Anegapessis, I'm in unknown. Anegapessis, and I deserve this, I deserve this. I wanna be happy, I wanna be free. Wanna be in love and not feel guilty. Wanna be happy, I wanna be free. Wanna be in love and feel there's something. Wanna be happy, I wanna be out of nothing, but I love you the way you are. So I'll just sit here, pretend that I like it. I'm so good at faking things, and I don't know what the future holds, but I know the past ain't through with me. And I don't know who I am becoming, but I'm ashamed of what it may be. I'm ashamed of what it may be. I'm ashamed of what it may be. Yes, I'm ashamed of what it may be. Wanna be happy, I wanna be free. Wanna be in love and not feel guilty. Wanna be happy, I wanna be free. Wanna be in love and feel there's something. Wanna be happy, I wanna be free. Wanna be in love and not feel guilty. Wanna be happy, I wanna be free. Wanna be in love and feel there's something. Want to be happy, but how can that be? She left together, so how can she see? Want to be happy, but how can that be? She left together, so how can she see? Wanna be happy, wanna be free, but wanna be in love and feel something. Wanna be happy, wanna be free, so wanna be in love and feel guilty. Wanna be happy, wanna be free, but wanna be in love and feel something. Wanna be happy, wanna be free, so wanna be in love and feel guilty. Wanna be happy, wanna be free, so wanna be in love and feel something.
What's been your favourite live performance experience?
I'll have to say Riverfest back in 2017, and it was here in Wichita. We have this festival every year. It's around like late May or June. They have like a carnival sometimes going on. They have different activities, a whole bunch of food trucks, and it's just kind of like a big way to like gather everyone, like a mini festival, and it's called Riverfest. And I performed there with my uncle, and he had his group. They're called the Dice Game, and they asked me to perform with them, and I just went up there and I sang with them. And it wasn't my music, it was theirs, but it was a really great experience because it was the first time I really felt like I was at something, relatively big rather than playing at like bars or parties or something like that. It was an actual legitimate stage, and there was, all these people just, watching, and that's when I was like, this feels really right, and it made me realize I do want to continue live performances.
That sounds a really great experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was.
Great stuff. Okay. What venue would you like to play anywhere in the world if you could, and why?
I would have to say the Pasadena Rose Bowl. Because I'm a huge Depeche Mode fan, and they're like the main, like a big inspiration for, the music I make. And, they have a documentary where it like all leads up to them performing there. And it was such this big thing before, them as a band like really exploded. And I love that performance and just the whole presence and atmosphere of the show that they did there. And just I kind of geek out when I think like the thought crosses my mind, if I could ever perform anywhere, I'd want to perform there, because that's where my idols performed, and I would like to perform there.
What's your hope and aspirations for your music?
I really want people to feel when they listen to my music. To evoke feelings out of people is why I do what I do. That, and besides underlying messages that I put out in, my lyrics and my songs, I hope that people can listen to my music and it makes them feel a way that they enjoy, whether it's they want to headbang, or they feel really happy, or they feel comforted by it and can relate to it. So basically, my hope and aspirations for my music is to have people come together and feel.
What's next for you this year?
Oh, I have lots in store. After the release of this EP, it's like I've just had multiple people, hit me up from all over wanting to collab, and that's great because I'll never turn down a collab. Like I just love making music and making new sounds and new things. So there's definitely going to be a new EP coming out soon that's going to have like hardcore 80s synth attitudes to it. And then I'm also working on getting a band together here. My brother's a drummer, so we always jam and stuff, and we're gonna come together and work on some stuff. And yeah, I constantly feel like I'm doing 20 things at once, whether it's personal projects or like I said, these other projects from all over. I'm not going to be stopping or slowing down anytime soon necessarily.
What interests or hobbies do you have outside of music?
I have so many. I would have to say film is definitely one of them. I love film, whether it's watching movies or shows. I also love to break them apart and analyze what I'm watching as well. I love me a good film. That and photography, of course, videography, like, making my own music videos. For sure, but you said outside of music, so other things as well, and dancing. I love to dance. So.
Okay. Earlier this week, we asked followers and fans of Zella if they had any questions they would like me to ask her, and I've picked the following two. The first one is from Sydney Schupert. Okay. What's your favourite instrument or one you would want to learn how to play?
My favorite instrument is the bass guitar. It was the first instrument I learned how to play, and I love playing it. But an instrument I would love to learn how to play is the saxophone. Yeah.
Okay. And the second question is from Luke Martin. How has your family reacted to your music and your desire to make it?
Oh, they're very supportive. They think it's the coolest thing. Yeah, they're all on board and, very, very kind and all for it. So it's great to have that.
Okay, thank you very much to Sydney and Luke for those questions. I'm sure Zella will answer the other ones that were sent in herself personally because they were all very good. Okay, we've got to your final song choice. So what's your final song choice for us and why have you chosen it?
My final song choice is Matrix, and it is my personal favorite from the EP, Bordello. And I really enjoy it all around, lyrically and instrumentally. It was an experimental song, and I like the fact that it doesn't sound like anything else that I've created. And the subject of the song I really like as well. It's about finding oneself again.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks for joining me today. Let's keep in touch. All the best.
Thank you.
That was Zella, and this is her latest release, Matrix.
Can you hear them calling? motherland. All the secrets that you keep, secrets all